So I've been 22 for a week. Yeah, my birthday was last Sunday. It's Sunday today. And shit has been hitting the fan. It's a great time. The day of my birthday, my grandmother woke us all up at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. because her blood sugar was very low. And to quote her, "I feel like I'm dying." I couldn't get any blood out of her to check her blood sugar. So I knew it was something to do with that because when it's low, she doesn't have good circulation in her fingers. And lo and behold, it was low. She was having a dizzy spell. It was a great time. We ended up fixing that. Her sugar went up. She wasn't dizzy anymore. She was living her best life. So I had to wait until the buses started running at 6 o'clock on my birthday. Because I wanted to go into work on my birthday and get the fuck out early on my birthday so that I could actually enjoy my birthday. I did a 6-hour shift from 6:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on my birthday. Did I mention it was my birthday? And then the next day, I had a complete mental breakdown. It was a great time. I went to work at 9. I was out and home by 11:30. Both a.m. because I could not stop crying. I had an awesome depression session. Probably the worst I've had in a while, you know? And then when I got home, because my grandmother has dementia, and I was crying and I was telling her how I felt overwhelmed because of her health and because I'm a caregiver and because I want what's best for her when she don't listen. And she thinks that she can do whatever she wants when she is a frail diabetic woman in her 80s. She started laughing at me when I cried. I wish I was joking. So, I had to call out work the next day for mental health. Then I had 2 days off. The first day went pretty uneventful, just was super depressed. The next day, Thursday, Thursday was a shit show. I live in a community that has a very high COVID rate. We are a low-income immigrant refugee community. Most people do not speak English, that type of community. So of course we are underserved when it comes to COVID inequality, and they want people to get tested. And I was doing my part. I was helping my community, mi gente. And I got tested for COVID-19. I had the thing up my nose, and then went on my merry little way. Oh, I forgot. Wednesday was not uneventful because my brother got diagnosed with stomach migraines, because that's apparently a thing. It's called cyclic vomiting. That was a great time. We had to call Children's Hospital Boston IT support because we couldn't connect. Anyway, back to the day I got tested for COVID. I had no symptoms. Honestly, I was just doing my part. Wanted to see if I would know if I had antibodies. I come home and my grandmother had a visiting nurse to come to visit her once a week because her doctor isn't seeing patients at all. Even if they could be dying, this bitch is not seeing patients at all. So her visiting nurse came and found out that her breathing was off. Her oxygen levels are normally in the 90s, 98, 99, good. It was in the 80s the other day, and that was concerning because it's not like that. Where was I? I had to pay a bill online because my mother does not know how to pay bills online, and Western Union is closed on Sunday. It is what it is. Oh yeah, so normally my grandmother can breathe well, but she wasn't breathing right that day. So they urged us to take her to urgent care, which is right down the street. And they urged us to go to try to avoid a trip to the ER because nobody wants to go to the ER during a global pandemic, especially with an 80-year-old woman who already has a weak immune system, You feel me? So, my grandmother's companion helped me get food into her and then helped me get her onto a bus because as a companion, she legally can't drive us, which is understandable, but it is what it is. We had a nice bus ride down the street to her clinic, where I met up with my mother, and I had an interview for AmeriCorps. My final interview could not really cancel it because it was like an hour notice, less than an hour notice, so the clinic wasn't letting people in anyway unless they had to be there. So my mother is her healthcare proxy. I let my mother take my grandmother, and I walked home, and I got ready for my interview. And I had my interview. It went well. Then after my interview, I get a text from my mother saying, yeah, no, they're sending her to the ER. Apparently, the doctor saw her and took one look and was like, no, ER. That's a great... So, I had to wait for an ambulance. It was up to the ambulance discretion if they would allow my mother into the ambulance to go to the ER with my grandmother, where she would have to wait out in the patient waiting room while she got checked. They did not take her. So my grandmother has been at the hospital since Thursday, 3:30. It is now 8:37 p.m. on Sunday by herself. It's been a great time. She is cold, as always. She's miserable because she wants to see people, but people can't go visit her because of COVID. My cousin had to stop by because we don't have a car and pick up some diapers because my grandmother was complaining about the hospital diapers, and dropped them off at like 10, 11 at night at the ER so that my grandmother would have good diapers. You literally have to go into the ER if it's closed, the main entrance, and give it to security with a patient name on it if you want to give anything to your loved one. We have been having trouble because nobody's calling us to let us know what the fuck is happening. My mother and I have had to call, and we finally, after 2 days of her being in the hospital, got her room number. Only after I fought with the main desk because they were trying to tell me that she was discharged. Excuse me? I would know if she got discharged because either me or my mother would be the ones discharging her. So, what's up with that? It was a good, 2 minutes where I was internally shitting my pants because I didn't know where the hell my almost 81, my 80-year-old grandmother, who is very frail, cannot walk without her cane, just got out of the hospital. For all I knew, she was wandering the streets. And then I got transferred to the nurse's station, and they were like, yeah, no, she's here. It's a great time. And that brings us to today. Today, we learn more about what's been ailing her, and I cannot process it, so I'm choosing to compartmentalize it, revisit it later when I am not on the verge of crying every 2 seconds. And yeah, that's how my first week being 22 has been. It's been a great week.